Hello children, we will move on to the lesson. The lesson number is 14. Factors of production and sectors of the economy. SOW references page number 100 to 107. Content in this lesson: what is production, factors of production, labor intensive production, capital intensive production, primary sector, secondary sector, tertiary sector, reason for deindustrialization, employment by sectors in different countries. Children, what is a production? Production is a process that involves converting resources into goods or services. For an example, a baker using flour, yeast, salt and water to bake what? To bake bread. You will also think an example of a production process that has been used a range of resources. Okay, what does mean here a range of resources? It means more than one resources will be using to produce an output. Similarly, in different production process involve different range of resources. Economists put these resources into different categories called the 4 factors of production. In this picture, you all can see the factors of production divided into 4 categories. What are they? They are land, capital, labor and entrepreneurs. How do you define a land? Land includes natural resources. It means land is a natural resource. It is not created by human effort. Capital includes the tools, equipment and factories used in production. Capitals are financial assets. Labor is the amount of physical, mental and social effort used to produce goods and services in an economy. Who is the entrepreneur? Entrepreneurs are individuals who start a new business or bring a product to market. In the previous slide, we learned land is a natural resource. Natural resources are classified into 2 groups according to their production: renewable resources and non-renewable resources. What are renewable resources? They are solar energy, water, wind. When you use these resources, it will be replaced by the nature. Non-renewable resources are phosphate, oil and limestone. There are some other resources which cannot be replaced by the nature. According to the classification of natural resources, non-renewable resources can be defined as once they have been used, they cannot be replaced by the nature. For example, oil is a non-renewable resource. If it is extracted constantly for the production process, there will be a scarcity of oil. Or it is likely that one day oil will completely run out. Renewable resources means the resources which are replaced by nature. But there is a risk that if some of that are not protected or overexploited, they could disappear. For example, if more timber is exploited for production process or not protected the forest, the valuable plants could disappear in the future. Who is a labor? Labor is a workforce in the economy. The workforce includes manual workers and skilled workers. The quality of an individual worker will vary according to their uniqueness, possessing a different set of abilities, characteristics, their skills, knowledge, intelligence and emotions. How does a workforce affect businesses? The value of a workforce could affect business. It means the human capital needs for a business. How to increase the value of a worker? That's why we are learning in schools, going for higher educations, undergo trainings and improve more skills in order to increase our value. Or on the other hand, to improve the human capital, which can be productive in an economy. Now you have learned about natural resources. Are the capitals artificial resources? Yes, they are artificial resources because they are made by human. There are two types of capitals: working capitals and fixed capitals. Working capitals refers resources that are used in production, such as stock of raw materials, components, and also finished goods that are to be sold. It's like a circle. You all can see in this picture, the process of working capital is like a circle. It's a circulation, like life circle, similar to that. First we'll have the raw materials, stock of raw materials, and then that raw materials will put into the production process. The output will be sold, and with the cash they will buy again some raw materials, and again with that raw materials they will produce some type of products. Okay. The other type of capital is fixed capitals. It refers money that we invest in fixed assets such as buildings, plant, equipments, lands and vehicles, and also factories, offices, shops, machines are included in this type of capital. The fixed assets or the fixed capitals is used in production to convert working capital into goods and services. The final factors of production is entrepreneurs. They play a special role in the economy. Without them, production would not take place. Then, what are the speciality we'll have with them? Yes, they are come up with business ideas. They are the risk takers and they are the owners, and also they are responsible for organizing the other three factors of productions. What are the other three factors of productions? land, labor and capital. Now we said that they come up with a business ideas. What does it mean? It means most new businesses following up others. Why? Because they think it is possible to supply exactly the same product more effectively. Think of some same product that available in the market. Yes, such as cuisine. However, there might be slight differences. And also we said they are the business owners. That means they are able to deviate or expand their businesses in the future. And what does mean that risk takers? Yes, sometimes the businesses will have the success, then they will gain profit, or sometimes it collapses, then they may lose their market or the business. And also we said they are responsible for organizing the other three factors of production. It means in the production process, the businesses have to buy or hire other resources and need to use range of skills effectively. What are the range of skills that they use? Yes, decision making, people management, time management, financial judgment to organize production factors effectively. All are skills. Now you have learned who is an entrepreneur. If I ask a question, who is an entrepreneur, then you should be able to answer like this. An entrepreneur is an individual who starts a business venture and is responsible for its development. An individual who bears the risk of operating a business in the face of uncertainty. One who organizes, manages and assumes the risk of businesses or enterprise. Can you all answer like that? Okay, good. Okay children, now we will find out the differences between labor intensive and capital intensive. Labor intensive means production relies on using labor resources. Tell me some examples. Most of the primary products are based on labor intensive. Whereas capital intensive means production relies on using capital resources. For an example, fast moving consumer goods often relies on heavily automated plants. Children, here are some examples of labor and capital intensive industries. Labor intensive examples are food processing, hotels and restaurants, fruit farming, hairdressings, and coal mining. Examples for capital intensives are oil extraction and refining, car manufacturing, web hosting, intensive arable farming, and transport and infrastructure. Children, now we will learn How resources are used in different sectors. In the primary sector, business activity involves extracting raw materials from the earth or from nature. For example, farming, fishing, mining, and forestry. Agriculture involves a range of farming activities. It is probably the most important primary sector activity for most countries. Most agriculture is concerned with food production. Fishing involves netting, trapping, angling, and trawling fish. It also includes catching or gathering other types of seafood such as mussels, prawns. Forestry involves mining forests to provide timber for wood products. Modern forestry also involves protecting the natural environment, providing access and facilities to the public and managing area for wildlife. Children, here are some primary activities and their characteristics so that you all can understand more about primary sector. What are the activities? Agriculture, forestry, fishing, mining and quarrying, primary energy. What are the characteristics of agriculture? The cultivation of crops and tending of animals. And characteristics of forestry, the production of trees and timber. Characteristics of fishing, the harvesting of fish from the sea or rivers. Mining and quarrying, the extraction of minerals from the earth's crust. What is primary energy? It is harnessing of power product directly. Example, hydroelectric and wind power. Children, you all can see the differences between the primary sector and the secondary sector. The primary sector is more to the nature. Raw materials are extracted from the nature. Where secondary sector is concerned, it seems to be polluting the nature with factory smokes and factory runouts. However, to understand what secondary sector is, you all have to read this passage. Okay, start reading. It covers activities in which natural products are changed into other forms through ways of manufacturing that we associate with industrial activity. It is a next step after primary, where the product is not produced by nature but has to be made. Some process of manufacturing is essential. It could be in a factory, a workshop, or at home. Example, using cotton fiber from plant, we spin yarn and weave cloth. Using sugar cane as a raw material, we make sugar or guar. We convert earth into bricks. Since this sector is associated with different kinds of industries, it is also called industrial sector. So children, now you all can understand a secondary sector is needed to consume some raw materials that are extracted from nature in the primary sector. That means both sectors are associated together in order to produce some outputs. Understood? Okay, good. Okay children, we will move on to the tertiary sector and we'll find out how a tertiary sector plays a role in the economy. The tertiary sector of the economy is the service industry. This sector provides services to the general population and to businesses. Activities associated with this sector include retail and wholesale, transportation and distributions, entertainment, restaurants, clerical services, media, tourism, insurance, banking, healthcare and law, and some other services can be associated with tertiary sector. That means tertiary sector means providing services to the population and to businesses in an economy. Children, you all can see in this picture how sectors involved or associated up until the final product. Sugarcane growing in primary sector. Transporting of sugarcane is a service that is in tertiary sector. Manufacturing of sugar and drink, it is the secondary sector or the industrial sector. Finally, the final product will be consumed by us. So all the consumer products will be associated with all these three sectors or at least two sectors. Sometimes primary sector and the tertiary sector, or manufacturing sector and the tertiary sector. Children, we can have a table like this and summarize the sector and included industries. Accordingly, primary sector includes agriculture, hunting, forestry and fish, mining and quarrying and petroleum. Secondary sector includes food, beverages and tobacco, textiles, leather and clothing, chemicals and chemical products, basic metal and metal products, machinery, equipment and electrical machinery, motor vehicles and other transport equipment. Tertiary sector includes electricity and water distribution, construction, distributive, trade, transport and storage, finance and other services. The declining in manufacturing is called deindustrialization. What are the causes of deindustrialization? A consistent declining in employment in manufacturing due to social conditions that make such activity impossible. That means a kind of states of war. And also shifting from one sector to another sector in an economy also can be caused deindustrialization. For an example, manufacturing sector to service sector. A trade deficit also impacts on deindustrialization because deficit prevents investment in manufacturing. Children, you all can see how in the UK the structures have been changed during 1950 to 2000. In 1950, the primary sector is 5%, whereas in 2000 it has been declined up to 2%. And also, when you compare the tertiary sector, in 2000 it is 69%, whereas it was in 1950 46%. And secondary sector also has been declined here. In 1950 it is 49%, but in 2000 it is 29%. That means the chart indicates the UK has moved to the tertiary sector. Children, according to the chart that we observed in the previous slide, we can find how has UK industry changed over time. Employment structures can also change over time within the same country. This led to a further decline in primary sector employment in the UK. The demand for work increased in schools, hospitals, and retail industries. Many people left the rural area in the search for jobs in the towns and cities. Children, in this graph indicates employment by sector in different countries. Here, China and India are newly industrialized countries. USA, UK and Australia are developed countries. Whereas South Africa, Brazil and Nigeria are considered as developing countries. Employment in agriculture sector is very less in developed countries in comparison to the other countries. Service sector is very high in other countries than China and India. Industrial sector employment percentage is leading in China in comparison to the other countries. Accordingly, employment by sector is differ in country to country. Okay children, now we have come to an end of the lesson. As a summary, we learned production is a process of converting resources into goods and services. All the production process involves a range of resources. And also we found that economists put these resources into different categories called factors of production. And also we learnt about the renewable resources and non-renewable resources. The value of individual will be contributed to a business, that is you call human capital. And also working capital will used in production, whereas fixed capital converts working capital into goods and services. And also we learned who is an entrepreneur and how he is performing in an economy. And in economies, production process depends on labor and capital intensives. Economic activities differ in sectors, and also the sector have changed drastically in economics due to many reasons, and the primary sector has been declined in comparison to earlier years that we saw even in charts and graphs. However, newly industrialized countries still relying on primary sector that we saw in the percentage of employment by sector in China and in India. Dear children, hope you could understand the lesson. If you could understand the lesson, you all can do these activities. The activity 1 at page 103, activity 2 at page 105, and economic in practice case study at page 106 and 107. And also there are chapter questions at page 107. Try to do your best. Thank you for listening. Stay safe and God bless you all.